Welcome to Mecha from Japan. My name is Musashi, and I'm joined again here with the co-host of
Anastasia.
Mecha from Japan. Anastasia, welcome. Good evening.
Hello.
Here's both of us.
Whoa, that's like super technological or something.
Welcome back.
Hi.
You were gone from the store. We're recording this in Gundam from Japan in Tampa, Florida, where we both reign supreme.
Rulers of Zeon, I don't know.
We're the king and queen of the nerds.
I'll take that.
But tonight's episode is about Requiem for Vengeance. Here we have a picture. It came out recently.
Yes, it came out last week, October 17th or 19th? I don't remember.
Yeah, so it's been out like a week, right?
Yeah, it's been a week.
Right. Well, good evening, young lady. We haven't podcasted in a little bit. We were hitting it hot and heavy, and I think we're hitting maybe one or maybe two a week. We're not really on a schedule exactly. We had the hurricanes since we last convened, and we've had this most delicious Gundam show appear on Netflix called Requiem for Vengeance. If you're watching our podcast, we will start off with spoiler alerts.
Spoiler alerts. Lots.
Yeah, so you and I both seen the whole thing multiple times. How many times have you seen it?
Twice and a half now.
2.4 times?
2.4 times, yes.
Well, 0.4 you and I just did
Yeah.
tonight before we went on this. We were looking up some of the behind-the-scenes people, just Googling some of the creators of it, just to have something, I guess, smarty pants to say. But I think that's not even really that important. One, we didn't find crazy amount of salacious detail. Well, you were doing most of the work.
There was not a lot. It's a very not well-known crew, but they've worked on a lot of cool things, at least. But you don't even get the movie and show tabs for them, so you have to go digging, and it was rough.
Yeah, and it's for me, Requiem for Vengeance, and we'll talk about your reaction, my reaction, and just lots of stuff about this show. I mean, this is easy for us to both talk about. At least it's easy for me because I love it so. So there's a spoiler already, right? We're not supposed to leave at the end what we think about the thing, but it's been out about it's been a week or so.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting for me for us to podcast because normally we'd have done it as soon as we saw it. Now for me, I saw it a full 24 hours after it came out. When did you see it?
Like a full week.
Yeah, like a while because you were traveling.
Yeah.
And you were waiting on purpose because I wanted to watch it, and I'll talk about that. The value of the show is it's a dark space opera thing, even though it's taking place on Earth. It's a very dark show that does really well on a OLED TV like we have here. A big TV behind you. It's actually a big TV. You can't. The camera's sort of just not picking it. It's a large screen OLED, and we have a killer sound system.
It's crazy. The screaming was behind me the entire time. That was scary.
So when I watched it, it was again 24 hours after, but I watched it with every flippin' light out. Like we do movie nights in here for a private community called Bear Guys here at Gundam for Japan, and I turned off every single thing just like it was a movie night, and waited till 8 o'clock when we closed. Yeah. And got my mom's blanket, cuddled up, had me some Japanese snacks, and I cranked the volume with our double subwoofers and surround sound. And I had a magnificent time because the show is glorious looking, but especially on an OLED in the dark. And I've been telling most of the customers that came in, please watch this in a dark room. Yeah. Even if you don't have this killer OLED and all the rest of that. Where did you watch it?
I watched it on my laptop, which does have pretty what's it called, graphics.
Some of a lot of laptops are OLED screens.
Yeah. It was it's meant for photoshopping and picture editing and all that stuff. So
was it dark?
No, it wasn't dark. I had Christmas lights all around me. It was very pretty. It was a good vibe.
Okay, but I mean, it's dark-ish.
It was dark-ish.
Yeah, I mean, you could see the show.
I wasn't out in the daytime. I'll say that. I could see the show. Okay,
because this is one of the things that we can talk about. The characters, and there's so much stuff in the show to talk about. But this is one of the prettiest shows I've ever seen. It's the famous Unreal 5 game engine, but your experience, your mileage may vary, and OLED killer sound system, pitch black.
Yeah.
It's as amazing a virtual thing as I've seen for any anime, Gundam or not. I feel that way about the whole show, which again, spoiler alert about my general opinion about it, but because we've purposely not talked too much about it today.
Yeah.
But so I don't know, because in the story here, the front windows, it's the glare on the TV is severe. So I wanted to watch the show immediately, even though it kind of crept up on me.
It just appeared.
It just sort of appeared. Like we're busy and stuff happened, and oh my goodness, the show that I've been so looking forward to is here. Tony, one of our regular customers who won our last build-off, he thought it would come out at midnight that night, the night before, and it didn't. It came out at 3 a.m.
3 a.m., I think, yeah.
He waited up till 3 a.m. to see it.
Impressive.
And, as we talk a lot, but, I'm trying to convert him to the Xeon cause. And so he texts me in the morning, have you seen it? Have you seen it? I'm like, oh, man, I forgot it's even coming out today. Which is crazy because I was so psyched for this. But, again, just busy or something. And he really was dying for me to see it because he loved it.
Yeah.
And I had to wait all day long because I turned it on, but you just couldn't see it with the glare on the TV. No. I mean, like, legit couldn't see much of the details. You certainly couldn't enjoy it. So, Requiem for Vengeance, first tip for me, without even talking about the characters or the story or the anime, none of it. It's just, if you watch this show and you're listening to our podcast, you haven't seen it, get into a dark room. I mean, it doesn't have to be a killer sound system or a killer TV, but it has to be dark in the room. That's why even your Christmas lights disturb me a little bit. Now, what was this? You said you've seen it 2.4 times.
The second time was in here today, about an hour ago.
Yeah, but that wasn't dark either.
No, still decent.
We don't need to get to we can talk about there's so many details to talk about. But would you watch it again with me in the store, pitch black, cranked up like I got to watch it?
Maybe.
Or have you seen it so many 2.4 times now?
I'm going to see it about 100 more times in the store. I'm not worried about it.
I think, well, maybe we should make it a movie night for our private bear guy. Then that way you'd really get to see it in all of its glory.
Yeah.
All right, well, so that's my first statement about it was I got to watch it, and maybe some of the appreciation is the sheer glory of it in that environment. Not every show needs that.
Yeah.
If it's bright enough or whatever. It's a very, like a lot of Gundam shows, it's especially if they're out in space, it's very dark with a lot of bright highlights. So OLEDs were like literally made to watch something like this. It's that's why people pay extra money for them. So you were a week, I was telling you, because we were communicating while you were gone, about, it's so good,
hurry,
you gotta watch
hurry,
it. You already knew I was going to like it because it's 1 year war. So again, we'll start with spoiler alerts. It is the Universal Century 1 year war in November, later in the end of the 1 year war. So in this week while you were waiting, you were busy doing other stuff too. Was it kind of like me? I mean, me, Mr. Crazy for this show now, it just crept up on me where it was out for you, but you didn't seem like you were chomping at the bit to watch it.
I wasn't worried about it.
You were so busy and you couldn't do anything about it?
Yeah, I knew I wasn't going to get any spoilers because the people on our server were gracious enough not to be very spoiler heavy.
Okay.
I heard some opinions before I went into it, and that kind of made me look at it in like a more critical way, but not nearly as critical as the people that were saying things. But it was interesting. I didn't worry about it because I knew I wouldn't be looking at spoilers. Like, I'll watch it when I watch it. I'm not in the store, so I can't hear anybody give me spoilers then either. It's
bad here, and it's like for us in the store, you pretty much have to watch. You have to watch it like right away.
You got to be on it.
Well, because we run a Gundam store. I mean, you're going to be talking about it. I have the picture up here, not because we can pick out individual things. Was that they're going to make it cheaper with a much smaller team for far less money. And last I heard yesterday, it was like number 7 on Netflix.
I think so. It's amassed 51.8 million hours watched, I believe is the number.
Well, it's been a big splash, not just for me personally, but those numbers become important because the whole industry is looking to see if this Unreal 5 engine thing is a viable way to make much more consistent, fast-paced, cheaper content that can get eyeballs on screens and continue to pay subscriptions or whatever their goal is.
Please.
Where are you at in your watching of shows?
I'm at officially, obviously I watched this one, but I'm officially about to watch Stardust Memory.
Okay. So it's hard for you to have much of a ranking because while you've watched 8 or 9 of them, but a decent amount. I mean, the top 10, you haven't even gotten to 10.
I can rank 5. I have a top 5.
So we'll just briefly, recap. It's the original one. It's Zeta, Double Zeta, Char's Counterattack,
SD and F91. I watched F91.
War in the Pocket.
War in the Pocket also. Yes.
All right, and what else? Now we're up to Stardust Memory.
Now we're up to Stardust Memory.
And now you've seen this.
Yes.
Where does this rank for you so far? In what of those shows you've seen?
My top one ever is Zeta, and then Witch from Mercury. I just still love Witch from Mercury. Right. Double Zeta, War in the Pocket. SD Gundam. It's not in my top 5. Requiem is not.
It's not even your top 5? Mm-mm. This is why we podcast together.
Yeah.
Because we don't always agree on every single
I love SD Gundam.
What?
War in the Pocket would still be Requiem for Vengeance for me.
Okay. Not only are you entitled to your opinion, we want to have your opinion. I just think you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy.
You've seen more than me.
Well, I don't think the number of shows is going to matter. I admire and love Zeta, but Zeta's not in top 10, not because it's not a top 10 show. They're just I have seen a lot more.
Oh, it's totally fair.
Yeah, the list will go up and down a little bit as you see stuff.
Yeah.
But especially when you watch things earlier on, I don't think because it was your first show, I'm not sure it's going to drop dramatically no matter what. It's always going to have a place. Yeah. Like Turn A, I think as a show is amazing, but there's just lots of reasons I like it that no other show is going to be able to kick it out of that position, probably because of emotional context and things for me. Why did it not grab you clearly like it did me, and it has most of the world?
The parts where I was supposed to cry, I didn't. I cried more at War of the Pocket. And basically, if things can grab me emotionally is kind of where I grade them at times. Char's Counterattack made me cry. I don't think Requiem got me at all. And SD Gundam, I'll come back to SD Gundam, was just fun and funny. So if
SD Gundam made you cry, we're in real trouble.
No, SD Gundam did not.
You're just a crier if SD Gundam made you cry.
Oh my God, they're bullying Socrates or Poptimus, whatever his name is. I don't know.
Peptimus Shirako.
Peptimus Shirako.
Well, that's interesting that for you it was War in the Pocket is very emotional and laced with the real sadness of war.
Yeah. So I'll get into spoilers here now because this has been on my mind.
About Requiem or other shows?
Requiem and War. I won't get too heavy into War in the Pocket.
Yeah, well, how many spoilers were shown? We got to tell what spoilers we're going to give.
Be worried for Requiem. Don't be worried for War in the Pocket.
All right, go ahead. Yeah.
So Requiem for Vengeance and War in the Pocket have a lot to do with the horrors of war and theming, I feel like. Showing the little guy on the street sort of what they're doing. War in the Pocket is obviously shown by a child's point of view, while Requiem is a soldier's point of view. And I don't know, the soldier just going out and doing her thing was really cool to watch, and I think it's one of the best series I've seen for combat and showing battles, like just the coolest battles I've seen. And it really scares you in a way where you actually finally get to see the scale of the suits rather than just, this cool little thing that's on my screen, instead of, that's a giant killer robot. And as I said, the theme is horrors of war. It didn't hit me as hard as War in the Pocket because I really felt it in War in the Pocket. Like, take little kid, show him horrors. Oh my goodness. Now, spoilers for Requiem for Vengeance. The final episode, this is why I'm saying spoilers. The two main pilots finally talk for the Gundam RX-78 GE. Is that what it's called? The EX or whatever?
The Wicked Kid.
The Wicked Kid. I call him the iPad child. And Solari, they talk. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so awesome. They're talking.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Goof comes up and just gets rid of the kid. And I'm like, all right. Cool. Horrors of War, I guess. Is this what I'm meant to be left with? Like, I don't know.
Well, that's, we haven't talked about this on purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fascinating take on it. And it hadn't frankly occurred to me while I'm running around telling everyone how fantastic this thing is.
Yeah.
I didn't think the thing to say, well, it's fantastic because of these reasons that I like it. I just assumed everybody would love it. I'm a little surprised to hear you say it, although it's not that I think that your evaluation is off kilter, but I think it's so poignant what you just said is I looked at it from, I could place myself in the scenes.
Yeah.
And that's primarily because I'm a combat vet, and we've been over this 1,000 times. I was in tanks in the Gulf War. And we even talked about it while we were watching the 2.4 version of this.
Yeah.
That, I was breaking down for you 19-year-old redheads.
Yep.
That in a tank unit, there's Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta. There's 4 platoons. And so it's all very, very military.
Yes.
And the way and even one of the big scenes about, to go to your point about how military it is, the whole perspective is shown from someone on the ground, which we like when they did it in Hathaway with the little fight. We like it more in the pocket. We like it at 8th MS Team. But this one really is regimented exactly like if you're a real military person or a vet or a combat vet especially. They're sitting around in the first episode, I think. I'm pretty sure it's at the very first episode. And I'm getting the sequence out of order, but she says, we're here to follow orders. And one of the guys
Yeah.
says, no, I'm here for the paycheck. I'm just here they just tell me where to shoot and I
Yeah,
shoot.
yeah, yeah.
Other guy says, so they have, and in a combat arms group of people, that's exactly what you'll have. She is completely believable to me. She's a real person that is a very effective commander. You get to see that she's highly combat effective in part because she's a new type.
Yeah.
Her character design, you liked her voice acting, right?
Yeah, I like her a lot. She's one of my favorite protagonists that we've had.
Okay, because that's so I didn't reviewed it like I was looking at it through a complete military lens, and it seems so real to me.
Yeah.
The clanking of the Zaku down to the talk. They've got this thing down to where it's extremely believable as a military drama.
Yeah.
That happens to be a Gundam-based thing. But she is very believable as a character, too. Her backstory about being a violinist loses her, again, spoiler alerts all the way through.
So my stance on it the entire time was I was kind of treating it like a Fallout cutscene. So it didn't bother me because of how many games I play at that point. Like, of course, if I was watching it as a show, the first episode, I was like, oh, okay, that's a little stagnant in some parts. The main character's face was really well animated, which was super jarring in some cases to see her compared to the average random guy. But it didn't bother me by the end of it. Maybe the first episode, I was like, I don't know. Because Alfie came in. I think a lot of the characters had facial hair, and that helped break up things.
Okay.
And we were talking about I'm going to call them no faces, just the standard dude, compared to, I don't remember her name, but Xeon fangirl with all the tattoos.
The pink hair babe?
Pink haired girl. And she had tattoos on her face, and I feel like that
one?
There she is.
It's like I'm controlling the board or something.
Whoa, what a concept. I just feel like her little accessories and all that stuff kind of helped break up the texture on her face, so it just made her look better. I don't know, from a Uncanny Valley. To me, the girls were just better animated for some reason.
I liked her a lot by the end. She produced some of the psychological, I have to kill to get to do my duty, but also to get home.
Yeah.
It's kill them or I'm going to be killed. So I understood that kind of, but you could see it's wearing on her greatly. And then the doctor is sort of the pacifist, you've lost yourself to the violence of this.
Yeah.
But this is the greatest calamity to ever hit mankind. I mean, there are billions and billions of people that have died.
Yeah.
Now, maybe not in their direct theater of events, but everybody knows, including Captain Solari's husband's died. I mean, everybody knows somebody that died. She's the last one left from her platoon or from her company that she's with, right?
Yep.
So that's just what we see now, and this is November. So I find her to be a very strong-willed, highly capable fighting person who's nearing the breaking point, but trying to find her humanity again. That's what I got out of her. That's a pretty sophisticated-sounding thing for a girl that's third tier. What are the big highlights? So you like the main character? I
love the main character. My favorite scene in the entire show was when she played her violin, and I was waiting for that the entire show. I was like, where she's gonna play it? She's gonna play it. I hope she plays it after the battles or something. But it was like a dream sequence, so I was a little disappointed it was a dream sequence. But regardless, it was super pretty. Because her dress is red, and then it becomes blood. And
then the crowd are all the dead Xeon. Probably her friends and comrades.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh.
Because she's feeling responsible that she was not able to keep her people alive around her, right?
Yeah.
But how about the anime of her dress dissolving into that? Didn't you think that was just really amazing?
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. It was just beautiful. Just the blood red and scary. It was a good dream sequence, and it's really hard to do dream sequences.
Well, you and I had watched Evangelion not very long ago, and it almost switched from straightforward Zaku, the scary Gundam thing, Gundam story, into this psychological drama. I wonder, because it was that part of the dress was so good, and then you've got pink hair babe having her own sort of PTSD issues. Mm-hmm. I wonder if I would have enjoyed the show as much, or if not more, and maybe you'd enjoyed it more, if there was more psychological. And so it's not just, that's exactly the way soldiers do stuff.
Probably. I think it would have benefited from being 6 episodes, 40 minutes long each. Okay. That's kind of my stance on it. Yep.
But they don't show him crushed or dead.
They don't show gore much. The implication is more of anything, I would say. My friend who I was watching it with, one of them was like, what in the world? What? Those are just bodies. There's so many bodies. Was baffled by how much they were showing and all the carnage, and I was like, more, I guess.
Okay. Well, that's where partly where I could say it's one of the great animes, because this is one of the best, if not the best show to tell a new person to go watch Gundam. Yeah. They're not going to know Amuro and Char. They're not going to. You don't have to watch it. It isn't that it's the single best thing that anybody could ever watch, but you will get a sense immediately, which is what do we do and have to do in the Gundam store? You walk down the street in the United States, nobody knows what a Gundam is, right? Anime people do. I mean, our people do. We live in this world. But on Netflix, having access to it at a moment in time that it's really taking off from a number of reasons, including post-COVID, where people were building a lot of kits, more people have learned about it. We run an entire Gundam for Japan store. But now we have easy access to something that the main thing we have to talk about with people is this is not Transformers.
Yeah. From a model kit person, I think it's going to be super interesting. I think the panel lining is going to be fun. But as a suit in a show, it was just scary. And that's the point of it, right?
Well, it was a couple of people that told me that they made a good, Halloween story. The first 2 episodes, when it's dark and night and it shows up. Yeah. It's a predatory stalker, but it got such greater mobility than the land-based Zaku's have that it's on them before they even know what's happened, and then you add in the armor so that you can't damage it from a distance. Yep. But I have never seen a 78-whatever. I've never seen a mobile suit really make it feel like it's got this technological advantage. And for me in the show, it was the movement that made it scary.
I think it was because it was 3D. We finally got to see it in something that our heads can actually conceptualize, because it's 3D compared to a 2D surface where we're like, okay, it's moving around, whatever. Like, I watched original Gundam last night and I was like, oh, he's wrecking the Zaku's as per usual and other stuff, and that's just like cool. But then you watch Requiem For Vengeance again. Oh my God, he's wrecking them and just like going back and forth. Like it's just scary.
Well, being dominant was part of it. So a lot of reasons it was scary.
Yeah.
It's so dominant that you literally get 1 or 2 cracks at it and then dead, right? Do you agree with that assessment of its
definitely.
Movement?
Yeah, the scale of it just made more sense to us because it's so pretty and we can, as I said, see it. That's the biggest thing. And we're on Earth, which is another thing. We get to see it blowing up buildings and trees and all that other stuff compared to out in space where you don't have scale of anything. It's just the great void.
There's, of the research we did on the people that made this, they've really captured Gundam. Now, it's made by Sunrise. But don't you feel like this is Gundam, though, even though it's made by Unreal 5 people that did metal?
Oh, it's unabashedly Gundam. Like, to the point where I was like, all right. Let's go. As I said with my Horrors of War statement from earlier, I was like, yep, that's Gundam. We're back in it. I was just hoping for something. Certainly Gundam, and I really liked how they portrayed new types as well. It's understandable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just they're kind of psychic.
Yeah. He just...
Intuition.
Something's up. Can see they said 20 clicks away, she heard gunshots and all that other stuff.
And
it's crazy.
Yeah, right. And they're like, how can you hear that 20 clicks away?
And they call her crazy.
Yeah, and an iPad kid, when they have that exchange of the watch, they're both like, I know what you're thinking.
Hello.
You're a new typey.
Yep.
But what is your answer in the store about what should someone watch first? What is your answer?
Wish for Mercury or Requiem for Vengeance now. It's easy to access.
Okay, so you are with me on that.
I say the other ones as a hardcore, already into it person who builds kits and all that stuff. But Requiem for Vengeance is a good entry point. In my opinion, I wouldn't be out recommending Iron-Blooded Orphans all the time. That would probably be my third option, though.
Is it 2 seasons long thing?
It's 2 seasons, but it's super gritty, and it's not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be recommending that to a child.
What? Well, before I want to get on to just your last opinion on this, but also pick apart just 1 or 2 more details so we can, give you an opportunity to say, what you either liked or didn't like, or lasting effects for you or maybe for Gundam people. But before we do all that, let's do Sock Cam, the famous mecha from Japan. What socks is Anastasia? Oh, you got kitty.
It's my cat. It's just my cat.
I love kitties, as you know. We've got a Mumu bathroom here in Gundam Japan.
It's a picture of my kitten from 7 years ago.
Oh, is that an actual picture of your cat?
That is my cat.
Oh, custom kitten socks.
It's custom kitten socks. I like it. I like my kitty.
I'm a Mumu poser. I don't have Mumu socks.
Yeah, you're clearly a fake.
Oh. I like the color. So how they just
Thank
go up
you.
to your shin? How far do they go?
Yeah, they just go to my shin. They're not long.
Are the other socks exact same?
I'm not. I'm wearing mismatched socks, so we're not gonna.
What? We're only doing one podcast tonight.
Yeah. No. I've had these socks for 7 years. The other one has a hole in it, so I have to mismatch it. That's how it goes.
At least you told on yourself.
Yeah, I'm honest.
All right. So sock cam is cat.
Cat.
But that's fun. That's your actual cat kitten.
Yep.
That's fun. All right. So now that we've had our sock cam fun, what else do you get? What I would like to tell anyone listening to our podcast about, impacts on you, where you think, like if people start coming to the store and they're going to hear me go, I think it's the most wonderful thing ever.
And they're going to get me where I'm like, it's a Gundam show. It's another Gundam show. I think it's beautiful. It's very pretty and it actually portrays their, as I said, soldier life very, very well. I would recommend it, of course, but I would tout Zeta way more before I went to Requiem, but Zeta requires you to watch another thing, so that's why Requiem wins.
Yeah, Zeta's a terrible introduction because you got to have a lot of stuff before it and after it.
Nope, you need to watch Requiem.
It's a great show, but yeah, Zeta's for Gundam people. How do you feel about the mobile suit design on both sides?
Fetty is okay. I'm not a Fetty fan, so whatever. I really like the GMs. The GMs are really cool looking. The Zaku I like to start with, but I like it more with the context of, I like anything that looks like a cat to me, and the Zaku, Solari, whatever, looked like a cat to me. So I was like, let's go. And then I realized it's red wolves. Their little antennas are meant to be wolf ears. That makes sense.
Two little antennas, yeah.
Yeah. So I knew people complained about the two antennas a lot, but I think it makes a lot of sense.
I'd make a ton of sense of the red wolves, right?
Yeah.
And there may be an actual communication, additional thing.
I'm sure there's something.
Probably just looks or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of ace pilots for the Fetties are in gyms, and that's probably because there were so many of them. The cream was bound to rise to the top. Maybe for you, we needed more iPad crazy kid, or we needed the mom's kid to show up.
So my close friend kept saying, the child is her child. The child is her child. The child is her child. And I was like, it's not her child. It's definitely not her child. Because it kind of pulled a Witch for Mercury, when he was falling and fell into the Gundam EX in her dream sequence, one of the original ones. My friend was like, he's doomed. That child is doomed. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess so. But
that it might as well be her child. Now, yes, as an initial viewing, you might suspect that like you're waiting for the plot twist that so she's a new type. Yeah. Her kid could be a new type. She doesn't know where the kid is. Now, Howdy went over to the Fetty side, but Char's sister's on the Fetty side.
Yeah, so it's entirely possible.
Entirely possible, and he's mad at mommy for leaving him.
Is he?
No, what I'm saying, if it were to be her actual child that she was fighting, you would have it would have been hard in that runtime to explain how the kid got from Xeon wherever to Ace 78-2 pilot.
So the way I explained it in my head, from their point of view of like what they thought was going on, I was
friends.
like, I was like, okay, well maybe he lost his father, so he's angry at Xeon for even starting the war, trying to get their independence or whatever, because he's a child, he doesn't understand all that stuff, and just was like, the iPad kid kept saying, I'm gonna wipe out all the Xeon, I'm gonna get rid of all of them. That's why he was to kill. He's not leaving anybody out, because he was just so mad at them about the war. And then once you meet the kid, it's clearly a kid from Earth, probably.
Yeah, I had to, when I'm watching it, I still thought, is that her kid? But that was as fast. It went in and went out, and I'm like, it can't be her kid.
Can't be her kid.
But a lot of people did think that. Maybe because we're used to having writing where it goes, Luke, I'm your father. We're waiting for some big thing to go, oh, snap! But it's not only what I talk about, for me, I got a very military real vibe out of it. This is a real robot genre with real clanky Zaku's fighting this little ninja 78-2 slice you up thing. That I think the contextualization with her own son and worrying about children at large, or certainly the impact of war on humanity, including especially children, that I think that mirrored effect, I think we get the Luke, I'm your father moment without any drama when they start to new type connect, and then the little iPad kid gets killed.
Yeah, I was very unhappy.
But I think that's still it's a really rich dynamic moment because it's still based on a lot of what would be very real.
Yeah.
They're trying to connect. He's got mommy issues. She's got I'm missing my son issues. They come together as new types that are trying to bridge the gap. And you've already beat us. You don't need to keep killing us.
Yeah.
I don't think it necessarily is superior. You could have maybe written that where her own kids, something, give me 6 hours, maybe her own kids, but it would take a lot of explaining to get there.
Yeah.
But if that had happened, we've been giving some sense that her kid was already not happy. You'd have to set that up over a long period of time.
Yeah.
Let's just say that were to happen. It was her kid. She wound up fighting her own kid the whole time. I think that's the kind of, I'd say, over-the-top writing we're used to. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think if they worked it all out and it was 6 or 8 or 12 hours, and then the Luke, I'm your father moment was because they clearly hide who's in that thing.
Yeah.
They hid it because it was still a little creepy kid.
I always thought it was a child because
of Amuro?
Yeah. I mean, they're going to put a new type child in this suit. Are you kidding me? It's going to happen.
That didn't occur to me, actually. I
really?
didn't really. I didn't really care who was in it. I just saw this evil, mean thing.
I was like, that's for sure a child.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I was always part of that camp. I didn't believe the son thing, though. I was like, no.
I think I was so in on the characters on the Xeon side and loved Zaku so much that it was a scary. I think I got out what the Xeon people were getting out of it. I was so embedded and mentally into the cause and the military life and what they've gone through and thinking about what they've been through by November of the 1 Year War.
Yeah.
I'm so in there mentally with them. I saw scary, weird, wicked thing, and what would you do? I'm the whole time thinking, you can't just face it head on. Do you regroup? Do you back up? What do you do? It all happened so fast. All I was thinking about the threat that it was, which is how a soldier on the Xeon side would look at it, because that's how into the story I was. And I think that's why it never even occurred to me to even care who was piloting it. I'm just trying to get away from the damn thing.
Yeah, no, fair. Very fair.
But that's interesting that, because it's so colored how I saw it, that we were just theory crafting. Had that turned into her child with enough explanation, then you'd have had this, I think when more Americans are waiting for someone to pull the rug out from under them in a big way.
Yeah.
And then half the time we go, oh, that's baloney. How could that have happened? But we're also, I think some people aren't used to, well, this is how, say, warfare would be. It's like you're just worried about the couple people right around you.
Yeah.
Someone just told you to go over there and do something dumb. The last thing I want to talk to you about is my new favorite character. Everyone keeps telling me to cosplay Major General.
I don't know his name.
Showing off his chest with the gold chain disco Xeon General.
He's the 08th MS team person.
So we're going to be cosplaying Kamen Rider Kuga for a 2025 calendar on Common Con. You can go to Common Con on YouTube and join us on the podcast. You've been on there a couple times. So I'm going to be doing a photo shoot of me dressed up like Kamen Rider, shirtless, and where everyone's looking forward to buying my $29.99 calendar for Kamen Rider. So now we clearly have the second calendar figured out.
Yes.
It's this Major General Xeon dude with the deep cut V shirt.
Yep.
No?
Yeah, I support it.
All right, see? All right, I know it's hard for you to say anything overly complimentary to me. But it wasn't just you. I mean, as soon as that show came out, because I live here, all the people that come in the store are like, you should cosplay that guy.
Yeah, it was super funny.
And that was the first day before I saw it. And I was like scared. I'm like, what if I go, this guy's a total dork? That's how people see me.
Yeah,
and then my insecurities were alleviated immediately because the dude's got swagger.
He just has swagger.
And I am built a little like him. So, I mean, I could see it. I'm tall. I'm built like him. You looked him up because I said I'm 58, and I'm like, yeah, I look a lot like this guy.
Corey looked him up.
Put on a wig. I think he's like 27, or in the show he's allegedly 27
or something like that.
Anyway, that's why it's the greatest anime of all time, because one of the most baller dudes in it. Apparently, I look like.
I see.
Yes,
that's a win.
Sorry, I'm knocking over the whole podcast. I'm so excited. Yes. Who cares about the story?
I'm glad you're winning.
I'm winning. All right, young lady, I appreciate you joining us here on Mecha from Japan. Well, you always join. You're the co-host here. You're always here, but you were gone for a little bit, so I'm so happy to have you back.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
It is so fun to be back playing music, podcasting.
Whoa.
Talking Gundams.
Evil iPad child.
You almost said something nice to me. I almost roped you in that close.
You're not going to get me that easily.
Requiem for Vengeance is amazing for me. It's okay for you, but it's a great Gundam show.
Oh, yeah.
because it's on Netflix, it's easy to get, and it is certainly solid.
It's solid. It's just a good show.
Sig Zion.
Sig Zion.
Bye.
Bye.